Scanning. Identity authorized. Welcome to the Secret Superhero Club Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Animation Station Podcast, your home for discussions and debates about all things animation. Each week, we'll rank, review, and revel in animated shows from yesterday and today, and from around the world. So grab your Acme slingshot, set your mobile suit to autopilot, and put on your mouse ears. The Animation Station Podcast begins now.
Swing by half price because there were actually a lot more of those Disney LPs than one.
You sent me a picture. What was it? It was the Jungle Book,
They had
right?
the Jungle Book, Winnie the Pooh.
Nice.
It's like Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree. 101 Dalmatians.
So these are the read-along storybook records, right?
I don't know if these were the read-alongs or if these were like the...
I think the one you showed me the picture of
those
was the
may have been read-alongs, but then they had two other ones that were music from the movies.
Oh, okay.
But it was all like before the 80s. So it had like... let's see, what did they have on there? It had Peter Pan...
Okay.
One of them was just like straight Mary Poppins. It had Song of the South, a whole bunch of old Disney stuff.
And this was at half price?
This is at half price.
Excellent. Was it the one here on May or down on 240?
It was the one here on May.
Sweet. It's been a while since I've looked at their record selection.
Yeah,
so...
I put it up with a behind a LP of the Kinks.
Oh, nice.
Because I was gonna buy all three of them, but then I was like, yeah, I don't really need to be spending all that money, so I just bought a book instead. So if you go and you see an LP of the Kinks, there's two Disneys
ones right behind it. Okay, unless they've gone in and organized them.
It's half price. They wouldn't have gone in and organized. It's the records. They don't organize those.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Anyway, we ready to get going?
I think we're ready to get going. Welcome, everybody, to the Animation Station. I'm Josh.
I'm Gavin.
And we've got some pretty fun stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Gavin, do you have any little news? Because I've got some news on the anime front.
I've got some news on the feature animation front related to one of our earlier podcasts.
Okay. You do yours first, because mine's boring and no one's going to care.
Well,
and it'll be a good lead up into...
Yours might be great. I don't know. But a lot of people recommended to us after we did our Secret of Kells episode that we should watch Song of the Sea, done by the same director, same studios. And I actually took the opportunity to watch it, and I freaking love it. It is so good, and I think we should probably plan maybe a future episode on it.
Okay.
But it was fantastic. I think I may like it better than Secret of Kells.
I was just about to ask.
So thank you, everybody who suggested it, because it was one of those ones that it never came up on my radar. I missed it somehow, and I'm glad you guys pointed it out. So anytime you guys think of something that's related to what we're talking about, continue to let us know what those are, because I'm grateful you guys pointed me towards that movie. It was fantastic.
Awesome. Mine's a little bit nerdier. The Digimon movies that just came out in Japan, I think they started last year sometime. They released them. It's a kind of like a sequel to the first season of Digimon. Or the first series, really, because it doesn't really mess with the second series.
So is this a new series, or is this a new feature film we're talking about?
Well, it's weird. It's in Japan, they're feature films.
Okay.
But here, they divided them up, and they did kind of Japan does a lot of stuff with their OVAs, where it'll be maybe 30 minutes to an hour, but they'll release it in theaters.
Oh, okay.
And make a big production out of it. That's what they did with Digimon. So we've got 3 installments are all considered one movie. So there's 3 separate episodes with about 22 minutes each in each movie.
Didn't they do that when they came out with the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon? They played like the first 3 episodes in theaters as like a movie.
All I remember is that we had that movie when I worked at the theater, and because we got episode 3 in 2005, and then I think it was 2007 we got the Clone Wars. It may have been 2008, but we got the Clone Wars, and that was bad.
You didn't like it?
Bad for business.
Oh, okay.
Like, that was like the worst, Star Wars movie that has ever come out box office wise. Right. But
I don't know anybody that saw it in the theater.
And no, I don't. I never liked the animation.
It's very stylized. It's kind of a blocky look to it. I like it okay. I think it's really good for television animation, and it gets better. I think the series gets better the deeper you get into it. I've only ever gotten as far as, I think, season 3. I've never watched the whole thing. But
did you ever watch the old Star Wars, the Clone Wars stuff that they would put? They used to be like 3 to 4 minute little snippets.
I own those. Gendy Tartakovsky did those.
Those are way better. I wish they would have done a complete 6-season series about those.
I agree. That's the same guy that did Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls. He's amazing, and I love those. I own them, and they're great. They played, I think, in between other cartoons. Then it would be like a 3 to 6 minute episode. Yeah,
Cartoon Network had a thing about doing stuff like that because they would do that with the Star Wars things, and then a little bit later on, DC had a block on Cartoon Network where they would play like Young Justice and some other things, and they would put snippets, the same different 2 to 3 minute bit, but all DC stuff.
I think that's cool when they do things like that. It's really neat. It's like better than commercials.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Digimon.
Okay.
They're out right now. You can go on Crunchyroll and you can watch the sub versions, where I think the sub got all the original Japanese actors, but I don't know any of the Japanese actors.
For mainstream people like me, what the heck is Crunchyroll?
Crunchyroll is an anime streaming service.
So it's Netflix for anime.
Netflix for anime, yes.
Got it. Continue.
But Viz Media, I think it's Viz. I could be wrong. It may not be Viz. But anyway, we're getting the full English dubbing of the Digimon movies.
Nice.
And they're bringing back a lot of the original cast, including Joshua Seth, the voice of the main character, Tai. And he's probably I wouldn't even put him as my favorite voice actor. He's the first voice actor I actually knew what his name was.
Oh, okay. So he's kind of a legend in Digimon circles?
To me, he's above all of my other voice actors.
All right.
Because I latched on to his character when that show first came out in, that would have been 99, I think. So I just latched onto that character, and I was hooked from the moment that I saw him and heard his voice.
Kudos to that guy, because if he can just hook you in with just his voice, that's good work there.
And, I was young and impressionable, so...
Yeah, I was in my senior year of college in 1999, so...
Well, yeah, you're also 47, so that doesn't really help. But anyway, what are we going to talk about today, Gavin?
I am so excited about what we're going to talk about today. We actually just finished watching it a few minutes ago. We decided to tackle the movie that's being shown on Netflix now, The Little Prince.
Yeah.
And it's I can't wait to start talking about it.
Yeah, this movie had a lot of production. Well, not really production. It was more release problems.
It did have release problems. It was originally premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in 2015, early 2015.
Yeah.
And we're just getting it here now. And it was apparently supposed to come out in the theaters, right?
Yeah, it was supposed
this spring.
Yeah, when we saw, what was one of the first movies? When we saw Zootopia, there were posters for Little Prince.
Oh, yeah.
And I was really stoked for it because I had remembered the book because it was one of those things that was read to us in grade school. So I was really stoked for it. And then I think a little bit later, I think we saw something else.
I feel like it was something
It was Nemo.
or
Dory.
But they didn't have a trailer for it.
No, that's what I mean. Like, that's when that week or close to that week, they came out and said that they were pulling it. And I was really upset.
It's really interesting because I read on Wikipedia that it was actually the most successful or highest grossing French animated feature film ever. And why do you think they wouldn't want to try and make money here with it too?
I think just because of the story, I don't think it would have made what they were wanting to do.
I don't know, because like you said, so many people are familiar with that book. It's standard reading for a lot of grade school kids, and I think it's a familiar tale, and I think it would be popular enough that I'm just really surprised they dropped it. I'm so glad that Netflix decided to get the rights to it and put it out because it was amazing.
My thing with it is, what movies came out this year?
I mean, lots of big animated movies.
Yeah, let's think of the animated movies that came out.
Zootopia was the first one.
Is Zootopia sad?
There's some sadness in it.
Is it as sad as this? Does it talk about death?
I don't know that that's necessarily sad, though, as much as it is
I think
poignant.
that's why the studio decided not to go with it. Because this is, like, this story, I mean, especially, we talk about The Little Prince. Spoilers right now, but I mean, the book's been out for years. But and it's on Netflix, so if you're wanting to watch it,
hopefully you saw our post on Wednesday.
So hopefully you guys have already watched it. Everyone should have.
That's
Netflix
why we
by
do
now.
those posts. So if you guys don't want it spoiled, wait
so
until
earmuffs
you see it.
now. Earmuffs now. When we have the Little Prince and he decides that he's going to go back home, and he's going to leave his shell here.
Right.
The snake's like, yeah, I'll kill you for you. I'll bite you. You'll die. It'll be quick and painless. It'll be great. Then we have the old man talking about he's going to die.
Right.
I don't know.
What every single Pixar movie has a tragedy in it that makes you want to cry.
Yeah, it has a tragedy like at the beginning or like somewhere close to the end, but it's not. It doesn't dwell on that for half the movie. That's not what the last 3/4 of the movie's about.
That may be a valid point. I think they were wrong, though. I think it would have done well in the theaters.
I think it would have done fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see from their angle why they decided not to put it out. But I mean, you spent all this money on this cast. It's one of those, you might as well try and do something, but I'm sure Netflix paid them well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So you said you read this book or had it read to you.
It was read to us.
Okay. Do you remember the story? Did you like the story when you were a kid?
I barely remember it, but I just remember that we had, talked about it, and I just remembered The Little Prince. So I was like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Got it.
And then watching the movie, brought some of that back. And I was like, oh.
Right. Now, as I understand it, it's not exactly the plot of the book, which is fine. I don't ever hold a movie as being obligated to, be an exact representation of the book. Like when people complain about the Lord of the Rings movie not being exactly what the book was. Well, it's not the book, it's the movie, so get over it. I never have a problem with that. But in my case, I never read The Little Prince. It was never even a part of my awareness until I was an adult and I started working at Barnes & Noble. And at Barnes & Noble, I became aware that it was an iconic children's book, and most people are familiar with it. And I'm familiar with the physical book itself, such as the cover illustration and illustrations inside, because I would flip through it, having handled physically that book a million times in my decade plus at Barnes & Noble. But I never read it, and I kind of wish I would have, and I probably will now. Yeah. But, so I have no idea how accurate to the book it is or any of that. But I will tell you that
I'll let you read the book.
I love the story.
Because I don't want to... I'll let you read the book, and then you tell me what you think about it.
Okay,
because
yeah. We'll not talk about the book. We'll just talk
yeah.
about the movie then.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about the cast first.
The big cast.
It had a lot of
really
big
cast.
name people in this cast. It is kind of cool. Like, no one in this movie has a name. They're unless you count the Little Prince. He's the only one with a name. Nobody else has like an actual name.
Well, they have titles.
They have titles.
So it's Little Prince. That's not a name.
Okay, well then they all have titles, and nobody has a name. No one's like Molly.
Right.
Or anything. I don't know why Molly popped up, but no one's like Molly. Like we have Jeff Bridges, who plays the Aviator.
Mm-hmm.
We have Rachel McAdams, who's the
mother.
We have Mackenzie Foy, who plays the voice of the little girl. I think it's one of her first. Her and Riley Osborne, who play the Little Prince. I think it's their first like acting roles.
They did great.
Yeah, we have
Paul Rudd's in there.
Paul Rudd plays the adult prince. Marianne, it's Cotillard, whatever. Yeah, she plays the Rose. We've got James DeFranco as the fox. That's a joke. Good old Benicio del Toro as the snake. And a fun surprise, Mr. Ricky Gervais.
He was great. He plays the conceited man. I do like how they all have titles, because they're all just archetypes or symbols of certain behaviors or attitudes that grown-ups can sometimes take on. And I thought that was a really genius plot device to have those characters be basically just ideas, and I thought the way that they pulled it off was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the voice cast was great. It's got, Paul Giamatti's in it too. It's got a lot of people that are voices and names that you'll recognize. Albert Brooks is in it. It's just filled with people, but I didn't feel like any of them took over in a way. Sometimes you hear a voice actor and it's like all you can picture is that actor. But these people all have very natural, voices that are unaffected, or they're not trying to do any sort of shtick. They're really playing the roles.
Yeah. And
nobody was trying to put on funny voices or different voices. They were just acting these roles.
Yeah, they were
and
all
I
just
felt
like
like they did a really good, real, true job of telling the story through their acting. And I thought it was great.
Yeah. And there is a running theme throughout this movie of, we have the girl, and she basically is being, not really manicured. What's a good name?
She's being groomed.
She's groomed.
Yeah.
She's being groomed basically for her future by her mom.
She has a very elaborate schedule and timetable for basically her entire life for the foreseeable future, down to the minute of, you do this activity now, you do this activity now, you do this activity now, with this particular goal in mind, and then the next year it's this other goal, and they're trying to get her into this academy, and her life is overplanned. She doesn't have time to be a kid, and obviously the part of the movie that drives all of it is that versus this drive to actually be a kid and maintain a piece of your childhood throughout your life.
Or any sort of individuality, because there's a lack of individuality throughout this movie. The only, because at first, nobody has any individuality except for the Aviator. And then slowly the girl it sounds weird saying like the girl and the boy and everything. Like the girl starts to break out of her shell, I suppose, would be a good connotation for that.
Well, she just starts to allow herself to be a kid and to play.
Yeah. Because
she has, been driven by this schedule that her mother has imposed upon her, and it seems as though the mother isn't malicious or evil, or she's just doing it for what she perceives as the daughter's own good, but she's completely leaving out this entire side of her childhood, which is that magical thing that children have where they can just live on pure imagination and just dreaming up things and exploring and playing with toys and friends and trees in the backyard. So I mean, it really moved me on that level because you see it all the time in your daily life. In the office environment. You see a lot of people. You're like, man, you don't have any imagination left. You don't have any spark. You're just a person doing grown-up things, doing your job, paying your taxes.
And then
whatever.
You go to bed and you wake up the next day.
Yeah.
And you go back to.
They buy the new car because everybody else bought the new car. Their house looks the same as everybody else. So, and they did a good job of showing that in this movie.
Yeah, everything's very uniformed.
Yeah, it's really cool. I didn't mean to derail your point.
Oh, no, that's totally fine.
All right, thanks for forgiving me.
No problem. Because, if I say it, it just sounds stupid.
No, not at all.
It's like when I was watching it, at first I was thinking this little girl does not seem unhappy. Her life doesn't seem fun, but she's not unhappy.
Right. She's driven.
She's going through the motions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like she's just another cog, and she's just going through the motions the whole time.
Right.
It's not until she meets the aviator and starts reading the story that then her life becomes a little bit more hectic because that's when she really starts. She even lies a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And is basically
don't lie, kids.
It's okay. She starts hiding things from her mom, and she starts, messing with the schedule, which, not really supposed to do, but she starts doing that anyway. And you can that's when, then when her mom cracks down on her, that's when you kind of see her start not being happy.
Right.
Not 100% sure where I'm going with it, but it's also one of those where if she never would have, met the aviator, I don't think she would have been unhappy.
That may be so, but she may also not have been fulfilled.
Yes.
So
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the look of this movie, because we mentioned it a little bit there when we talked about how they made everything look the same. Like all the adults are doing the same things and living in the same environment.
I do like that cop.
The cop
was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
he was so exasperated.
Again?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think about the look of this movie?
Which part?
Let's just talk about the real world. Let's call it, because if you haven't seen it yet and you're listening, you probably shouldn't be listening still, because we're just about to spoil everything. But basically, when we're talking with the girl and the aviator and all the adults, we're in the real world, so to speak. And then there are scenes where we go into the aviator's story about the little prince, and it's animated in a totally different style, in kind of a paper diorama, stop motion.
It looks wood.
I thought it was more paper than wood.
Well, I mean, it's weird because like some of the clothes look papery, but like when you see their faces, it looks like their faces are carved.
It's either carved wood or it's like paper mache.
Okay, yeah.
I can't quite tell, but a lot of them, when they're in profile, it's a flat piece of paper.
But I mean, like when they show, like when they do like the close-ups on the face, because I thought they were all going to be like looking at it when we first see the aviator when he crashes in the desert.
It's all flat paper.
He's completely flat, except for his scarf is like cloth.
Yeah, and it was like kind of
it's blowing and everything, and that was really, really cool. I thought it was a really nice touch. Really but then when we go in on their faces, like especially the little prince, he's made of wood.
Well, it seemed like when we first are introduced to that environment, it's all flat 2D, and then as it progresses, as these characters come to life for the girl, then it became more three-dimensional. And those characters, had actual dimension. I feel like. So, like, the Little Prince's clothes, I feel like were still paper, but they were, wrapped around a form. So they took a dimensionality that, to me, symbolized these characters really coming to life for the little girl.
That's really good. I never thought of it until.
So did you like all those elements of the stop motion pieces and the paper and
yes,
that real tactile look?
And like especially when we get to the fox.
Oh yeah, the fox was cool.
He was great, just because I liked what they did, mainly with his tail,
Mm-hmm.
because he's just like see-through red paper.
Right.
But then when the tip of his tail hits the light, that's where it starts getting brighter, kind of like the red bushy part of the fox. I mean, the white bushy part of the fox's tail, and so it kind of makes that little triangle and turns like almost see through.
It looked
really nice.
I agree.
I kind of liked the other world, like the little prince's world, more than I liked the real world. But there were some parts in the real world that I thought were really, really nicely done. And it kind of looks like what I said when we decided to watch it. Like, it kind of looks a bit like Hoodwinked.
Yeah, the character design is a little similar,
the animation style.
Little Red Riding Hood character is kind of a similar design to the girl in this.
Yeah, but there's like when we go towards the end and it's raining, and I like little details like that. Her hair is wet, but she has like one little stray hair that's going this way, and then one little stray hair that's going like another way, like over her brow.
Right.
That it's just, and that's just not like her like regular hair. It's just like a little line, not like the normal way her wet hair falls. I just like little bitty spits like that. I think are really nice, and when they put that, when any sort of movie or animation puts that sort of detail in, it hooks me in more. Yeah,
I thought they did a great job on that level as well. They packed a lot of detail into this movie.
Yeah,
I think especially in the real world scenes, which were much more rich with detail, they did a great job of packing in the right amount of detail to kind of give a certain level of realism, but the whole thing in and of itself is very idealized and very not romanticized, but I guess romanticized works because it's not supposed to be true reality. You know, they're not going for actual real world textures of wood and stone and hair. It is very much an idealized, you know, cartoony kind of world that they're in, and you know, they did a great job with it. There are a lot of really neat textures and lighting effects in it. I feel like it almost felt like it was filmed on a sound stage, you know, like movies that have that look where all of the lighting is convincing, but it's clearly artificial. It's all, you know, directional in a way that, you know, sunlight isn't, you know what I mean? And I feel like so much of that world felt like it was just lit by fluorescent lighting.
Yeah.
And then when you go right next door to the aviator's house, it's actual sunlight. And I felt like those differences were really genius because you kind of have a cold, clean light in the neighborhood where everybody's house is exactly the same. And this one kooky character's house, which is totally different and grown over in vines, and it's got colors and it's got tiles plastered into the walls and all this stuff that's in his house and around his house and in his backyard, and it's flooded with this beautiful golden sunlight, and it just takes on a completely different feel when they're on his property, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I just thought those kinds of details really made it for me, and just seeing that lighting and how it transformed each scene, you know, it reminded me of you know, the way that Pixar does their lighting, which is always just amazing, and so much of it indicates immediately where you are. You know, I think of the Toy Story movies, and like the lighting inside of Andy's room is so clear. You know that even if it's a close-up of one of those characters, oh, we're in Andy's room because I know this lighting. And it's just subtle clues like that that can really drive a lot of the storytelling as well, and get some of that impact of the difference between these two worlds.
Yeah.
And man, they did a good job.
His house, even though I'm not a huge fan of the movie, his house did remind me of House Castle.
It had a hodgepodge kind of look to it like that. It reminded me of a lot of different things, but you know, they pulled it off to where it looks very organic, and like this guy had been living there for 60 years and he just painted on this piece and added on this piece and just hobbled together this kind of fantasy cottage menagerie for himself, and it was great. I want to go explore that house.
That would be super cool. I think we are missing a very major character in this movie that doesn't really have any sort of speaking roles.
Mm-hmm.
The little fox.
The little fox character is really sweet. Now, in the Little Prince's world, the fox is more of a character, and then in the little girl's world, it's just a stuffed animal.
Just a stuffed fox.
And, you know, just kind of becomes her little stuffed animal, and she loves it and thinks of it as the fox in the story.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when we go into the climactic last segment of the movie,
where she more than likely falls down and has a concussion.
she may be hallucinating in the last part, yes. But you know, he kind of comes to life, and he's so adorable.
I thought that was really cool.
He's really funny too. He doesn't say anything.
I didn't think that they were going to actually make him do anything. Mm-hmm. But then when he's like sitting in the biplane with her, and he's just like moving his head, and he's like, "Yes, ma'am." I was like, "Okay, this is good. This is gonna be good."
Oh, he was great. And there's that scene at the end when they're all in that warehouse where they're crushing all the cool things in the world to make paper clips. And the little prince is finally realizing who he is, and he stamps on the businessman's foot, and then the girl stamps on the conceited man's foot, and they're all like, "Ow, ow, ow!" And then the little fox stamps on the guy next to him's foot, and it's just a little doop, and he doesn't even feel it because he's a little stuffed animal. Yeah. And I thought they brought a lot of really good humor moments into it as well.
Yeah, I was in. Like, there's not a. I mean, there's a good amount of humor in this movie, but. And I was listening to you, like, while we were watching it, mm-hmm. and, like, just little things, you'd be like, ha. It was really good. I was like, this is good, because it's sprinkled throughout.
It is. I think they do a good job with it, of keeping some levity in there, because there are some pretty heavy themes in it, and you know, impactful moments, but having some spots where you can chuckle is great for a movie like this, and I thought they struck the balance really well. And you know, I really felt like design-wise, it reminded me of a lot of different movies. It felt like they were drawing influences from a lot of other animated films. Did you find it reminded you of any other movies in any way?
Because you just put me on the spot right now, mm-hmm. Not really.
Well, I'm going to talk about some other movies for a minute.
I mean, that's fine, because, I mean, we just watched it, so I haven't had...
We're still digesting in a lot of ways.
You know, I take, like, 19 years to process things.
I'm similar, too. I mean, I'm going to think of a million things tomorrow that I wish I would have said on this show.
Yeah.
But
every recording that we've done, like the bonus stuff, like... just talking about anime, like, oh, I wish I would have said that. Oh, yeah, I should have said that. Like, when we did the first episode, the Cowboy Bebop one, mm-hmm. I was like, man, I sounded like an idiot. I didn't say this, I didn't say this, I didn't say this.
Well, I think we did good. We're always going to have things that we wish we would have said. And what's great is on the next week's episode, if we want to mention something, we can.
We can mention it, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, have you seen a movie called Planet 51?
I played Area 51.
Right now, it's an animated movie that is a take on Area 51. Is that the one with The Rock? Yes.
Yes, I have.
Fantastic movie.
And he's good. Yeah, it's like the reverse of
where he lands on the planet and he's the alien.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. And the lighting and textures of that movie, especially the trees and things like that, reminded me so much of this movie. Or this movie reminded me of that. And so I kept having moments like, man, I wonder if any of the same animators worked on this, because it just had a very similar look, like with the trees and things like that. It also, the neighborhood, even though in The Incredibles it was much more of a mid-century or retro design, the neighborhood with all the houses and the cars that were all square-like really reminded me of The Incredibles in that neighborhood that they live in and the town that they work in when they're not being superheroes.
Yeah. Going back to the like when we first have that first shot, when we go down.
Yeah, it's like the bird's eye view, zoom in.
I thought that was really, really cool. I thought that was a really cool shot.
And they utilize that shot several more times in the movie, where you have that bird's eye view and you see all the traffic, and mm-hmm. you know, it's basically like watching drones, and yeah, it was really good. And then, okay, the stars. Did you ever see the Pixar short called Luna?
No.
About the little kid who's learning from his dad and grandfather how to basically care for the moon, which is covered in stars, and they sweep the stars into different positions to make the different phases of the moon.
What did it come out with?
An excellent question. I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, it was probably 5-6 years ago. It might have been in front of Cars. It might have been in, I don't know, Toy Story 4, or I mean 3 maybe.
I can't
I don't
remember.
know. Anyway, they had the stars that were like physical, chunks of star material.
It sounds familiar, and they would
the
just,
stars
like,
in this
sweep
were
them,
like
with
that.
the
Yeah.
Well,
So it seemed like they were, I don't know how much they were influenced by all these other movies, but I found such striking similarities to some of those elements that I wondered if maybe some of the same animators worked on this movie that worked on some of those things. In any case, I do feel like this stands alone visually. It was really, really well done on that level, and I just adored the look of it. I had fun visually, and to me, that is like half of animation for me. Is if my eyes are pleased, then I'm in.
Yeah, and it did that. See, I'm very picky with my animation, and if you ever see me and I'm like on my phone while something's going on, I don't like it.
Got it. I don't remember you being on your phone during this movie.
I was on my phone during this movie.
Nice.
But yeah, like that's like when we watched House. I had my phone out a couple times.
Okay.
Just because Christian Bale kind of took me out of the movie.
Ghibli.
Not because he was bad, but because it was Christian Bale, and I knew it was Christian Bale, and he sounded like Batman once. And I was like, oh, it's Batman. Okay, I'm out of the movie again.
That was long before Batman.
Yeah, he just used the voice that he used in House for Batman.
So when he was Batman, he was Hal.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
what it
I
is.
got it.
So if you think of it that way, so go back and watch like The Dark Knight and everything like Batman Begins, and just be like, oh, it's Hal.
Just think of Hal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pass on watching Batman again.
Why didn't you want to watch Batman?
Not for me. Not for me. So, you liked this movie?
I did like this movie.
Did you love this movie?
I wouldn't say I loved it.
Really?
I didn't. I don't have. There's nothing I can say wrong with this movie. Other than there was a lack of a romance.
You and the romance.
I love
man.
romance.
You and the romance.
That's my heart.
Did you notice the music in this movie?
I did notice some of the music.
It was fantastic.
I liked
everything about what they did with the music.
When she's in the plane, whatever song that they were playing there was really, really good.
Well, Hans Zimmer did the music, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And then they also brought in all those kind of mid-century French-sounding songs.
Yeah, like when he's working on the plane.
Delightful as all get out. And I loved every musical choice they made in this movie. I felt like it was perfect. So, rank this movie. Rate it. Rank it. Yeah.
I want to hear your rating
out of 5.
First. I want to hear your rating first.
All right. So, basically, I think we've only done this on one other movie where we rated it out of 5. And I want to define my scale a little bit. 5 is really only reserved for like 1,
Starship
2,
Troopers.
maybe 3 movies ever for me.
Yeah.
So when I give it a 4, that means it is top flight, but it may not be my top 1, 2, or 3 movie of all time. So out of 5, Jiminy Crickets.
Dang it, I was really hoping you were
No, I'm sticking with the Jiminy's.
I was hoping you wouldn't remember your Jiminy Crickets.
Out of
and
5
I was like,
Jiminy's,
just going to say 5.
I'm giving this one 4. I am so impressed with it. I want to watch it again immediately. That's how much I liked it. I thought it was great.
My scale goes from like 1 to Starship Troopers because it's the best movie.
So dumb.
And
it's not even animated. You got to pick an animated one.
There's a Starship Troopers that's animated.
What?
Yeah. And guess what we're going to watch, my friend?
No!
Yes, we are!
All right. Well, when it's your week, you get a pick, so...
No. It's not good. It's really bad.
What's wrong with your Ron Stoppables?
I may swap it up over.
All right. I'll stick with Jiminy's, and you pick a new one every time.
I'll pick a new one every time.
All right.
This one I would give it. I'll go ahead and give it 4 Maple Pines.
Maple Pines. That's
Yes.
a good rating scale. I like that one. Okay.
Just because I wasn't bored throughout the movie. I can't find anything wrong with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the music in the movie. I liked the art in the movie. The voice acting was really good. I can't find anything wrong with it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not my favorite movie of all time, but
because the little girl didn't have a boyfriend.
Exactly. If she in the actually, I wasn't really thinking she and the little prince.
Right.
I was thinking maybe the prince comes back and then the prince and the mom because the mom and the dad are having, marital issues, and he left.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of hoping that would happen.
Oh my gosh!
But that didn't. See, that's the way my mind works.
But to me, that just grinds it back down to a boring reality. In this case, I'm.
In what way is mystical space prince from another random world? How is that
but you're just
boring?
bringing it back down to family matters. Just.
Family space matters.
She needs a dad, and she needs a husband, and this will solve.
Well, no,
the
I was hoping maybe the husband would help her, maybe not be so rigid.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna. Well, I think really at the end, you see that the aviator kind of opened her eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, you give it 4.
I give it 4.
Excellent.
4 Maples.
Nice. Well, I recommend everybody watches this movie. I don't know if it's on DVD or Blu-ray yet. It's been out for a long time. It just finally got released on Netflix. But if you have Netflix, stream this movie. You won't regret it. It's beautiful. I loved every minute of it. I really, really enjoyed it. And we're looking on Prime right now. It does not look like it's available on DVD yet.
But
if you don't have Netflix, wait for it, and it will be available. And oh my gosh, you can buy the little fox.
But yeah, you can go on Amazon right now and buy the little stuffed fox.
Adorable.
I want it.
So cute.
How big is it?
It's small enough to be affordable.
It's machine washable.
Heck yeah.
It's 50 centimeters from head to tail. This is America. I don't know centimeters.
It's going to be probably about that long.
That's not big enough.
Well,
I want it the size of my laptop.
Sorry.
That would be perfect. Okay.
Well, learn how to sew, and you can make one for yourself.
Or I know people that can sew.
Nice.
Hannah, make me a fox.
Is she taking orders?
Sure, why not? All right, so yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. I don't know why you wouldn't watch it. I mean, it's on Netflix. I mean, you're not going to pay anything extra to watch it. So, and like I said, it's virtually perfect.
It's totally worth it, guys. Go watch it.
All right. So I guess we can go ahead and go into a top 5.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right, Jeff, take it away.
And now for another top 5.
All right, top 5 time.
Let's do it.
Sweet. So this week we decided to do our top 5 animated villains.
And you made this really hard for me because you gave me cartoons, anime, web shows. You gave me the whole gambit of everything.
The whole world of animation. You got to pick your 5 top villains.
And I tried to vary it out a little bit, but you will be able to see a central theme among my...
I figured we would start to diverge with this list because I feel like you're probably going to bring us some anime villains.
Nah.
Maybe some comic book hero villain stuff, which those are things that I'm not as well versed in. And mine's probably going to lean a little heavily on the Disney side. I'm sure that's a shock. So who's going first this week?
I might drop last time.
You did?
So it's
All right.
It's up to me. So for my number 5, I went a little bit traditional. I went anime.
All right.
So I chose Light Yagami from Death Note.
Wow, I've never even heard of that character.
I know, but get ready because you're gonna get a Death Note. You're gonna
show me some Death Note?
Yeah, that's
awesome.
gonna happen.
What do you love about this villain?
Basically, his kind of premise without spoiling too much. He receives a notebook, and whatever name he writes, like person's name he writes in his notebook, that person will die. And he can dictate how they're going to die.
Like, right away. Because everybody's going to die.
Well, no, like dies like within X amount of time frame.
Okay.
And he can set it up to where I want you to jump off of a building, and you're going to jump off a building and you're going to die.
Oh,
and if he doesn't write anything, like if he just writes Gavin Audison, you'll just die of a heart attack. So everything looks natural.
Could he write Gavin Audison and I die peacefully in my sleep?
That's the way he writes it.
So it depends on the script?
Yeah, it depends on whatever he writes. If he doesn't write anything, heart attack, you're out. He can write it to where you go up to a building, jump off of a skyscraper,
Jeez, this is
fall
dark.
on top. Yeah, he's dark. But he starts off doing with just criminals, like death row inmates and people that are doing bad things. But as the series progresses, like he's your main character. But as the series progresses, you hate him, and you're like, I really want them to catch him.
Wow.
It's kind of like that Walter White. Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
No, I did not.
Oh my gosh.
Wish
that was animated.
I'm a Disney kid. That stuff's too dark for me, man.
Jeez.
Breaking Bad?
Yeah,
Jeez.
but all the mother killing and parents dying at the beginning of every Disney movie.
Well, that's because they're going to bring you some heart afterwards.
Well, we get Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad. Okay. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, you kind of root for them at the beginning, but then as Walter White, slowly devolves into madness, you want them to catch him. That's exactly the way Light is. And Death Note was around years before.
When is that from? The 90s?
That's from. I read it when I was working at the theater, so I read it back in 2005.
Okay, we're talking about the manga?
The manga, yeah.
Okay. When was the television series? After that?
Yeah, it was after that.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Could not tell you the date on that, unfortunately.
That's
but
cool,
yeah,
right?
I'm gonna go.
We're not a history show, really. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Light Yagami from
Excellent.
Death Note.
My number 5 is
Disney's.
No.
Oh.
From the world,
wait, yeah, this is number 5. He's up number 1.
From the world of television.
Okay.
I'm probably going to surprise you with a couple of mine today.
Is it Mumra?
No, I don't even know who that is. So it's not that whatever you just said. It's from a little show called The Simpsons. I'm going Mr. Burns. Classic TV villain. He's the bad guy.
I guess. I mean, Maggie shoots him.
The crooked corporate, no ethics crook of the town. I love him. He cracks me up.
Okay.
He built the what was that thing called? He built like a shield to eclipse the town from the sun. That's evil villain kind of stuff.
Sure.
Mr. Burns is awesome.
I never got into The Simpsons.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you Family Guy? Because it seems to be either or. People.
Well, it was also one of those. My parents didn't want me to watch it growing up because it was too vulgar.
I didn't want me to watch it either.
But here's the thing. Instead of watching that, I was, for whatever reason, it was okay for me to watch Futurama.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was weird because it was sci-fi.
Yeah.
And they knew I was a sci-fi kid.
Okay.
And they were like, whatever, you can watch Futurama. It's okay because it's sci-fi.
Right.
Way worse.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I never really got on that Simpsons thing. And by the time it was like, oh, it's okay to watch The Simpsons, it had already lost its, mythical appeal to me, where it's like, oh, this is forbidden television.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like,
Well, if you ever go back and watch it, Mr. Burns is a great villain.
Okay.
He's not a traditional villain in the sense of, he's an actual criminal. He's just kind of a evil corporate guy. And I think they do well.
Okay. Okay, nice. Respectable.
I'm not feeling the respect.
Yeah, Yeah, no respect. All right, for my number 4, I'm gonna go away from the anime.
Okay.
And stick with anime.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go Fuhrer King Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. His title should give it away. He's Fuhrer and King, and the last name Bradley.
Okay.
We also are gonna do Full Metal Alchemist.
All right.
So I
see a lot of anime in my future.
really can't go too much into this.
And that's another series, right?
That's another series.
Okay.
Well, they have a couple movies, but we're not going to watch those because those are hot street trash.
Okay.
So
right.
we're going to go and probably not even do Full Metal Alchemist and go straight to Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Full Metal, like the first series, it was going on. They started airing the series while the manga was still going on. Okay. So within like 6 episodes, they caught up to the manga, and it was one of those, oh crap, we can't go anymore.
Right.
So they started making stuff up, and it just turned into a convoluted mess. So what they did was they waited until after the manga had already finished, and then they came out with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And it follows the manga, and it's fantastic. I think there's 5 seasons, maybe? Could be wrong. I think there's like 60 episodes, 60 or 70 episodes. And they're fantastic. There is one episode of the original series that we'll watch just because it's probably my favorite episode.
So what about this villain?
He's just... It's one of those... You think he's a good guy because like he's part of the military and he's the king. And you're like, okay, yeah, this is a good guy. But then you find out more about him.
Okay.
And again, without spoiling, the anime people that are listening to this, all 3 of them, know what I'm talking about. Just
so
everything
he's the Prince Hans of anime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because first you like him and then you hate him.
Yeah, but his transformation is way darker. He does things to
anime
some of my
tends
favorite
to
characters.
Be a little darker. Yeah, I mean, your first one has people jumping off of buildings.
Nah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
This one, people kind of get killed.
All right. Number 4. I'm sticking in a comedic role for this one. It's probably the funniest Disney villain, I think. I'm going from Hercules, Hades.
Wonderful pick.
I think he's amazing. I love what James Woods does with that character. I think he's hilarious. I love the design of the character. He's perfectly manipulative and believable as a bad dude. And he's got some zany sidekicks that work.
Yeah.
I love Hades. I love everything about him.
I think I see what happened with this top 5.
Mm-hmm.
You went more, what it seems, you went like bad guys. I tried to go evil guys.
Yeah, you're ranking their evilness.
Yeah,
truly,
I went
truly.
like straight, this guy's going to slit your throat.
Yeah.
And you went, oh, this guy's going to sing a song and then maybe he'll hit you in the face,
I did go with just my favorite anti-heroes or bad guys or antagonists. None of them are truly, well, not yet anyway. You haven't seen the rest of my list. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But the things that I watch tend more toward, it's white hats and black hats. It's not so much true evil, like the guy writing your name in a book and you die.
Yeah, I went true evil.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. So what's your number 3?
My number 3, Disney's.
Yes!
Well, I mean, Disney's Aladdin's Jafar.
Nice.
So, I mean, because he's one of the best.
I love
he
Jafar.
beat out Scar. I was like, I only want to put one
fight?
Disney. No, I want to put one Disney person in here.
Oh.
Because I tried to mesh it around a little bit. Because originally I had Scar and Jafar on here.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided to give it out to Jafar just because he comes back.
He does.
Scar never comes back.
I never watched any of the Lion King sequels, so
yeah, he doesn't.
I think we assume after that first movie he's dead.
Oh yeah, he's dead. He spread his gene. He sowed his oats a while ago, and then we meet some other people in the second one. But
I do think though that Scar has the best villain song.
Oh, by far.
In the Disney catalog.
Yeah.
Be Prepared is awesome.
I will agree with that. I like evilness though, like the stuff that he does. Like with his, like he's, like we first see him and he's using his staff to basically
we're talking about
mind
Jafar.
control. Jafar,
okay.
yeah, Jafar.
Okay.
Using his staff to control the Sultan.
Mm-hmm.
And then he controls the Jasmine and everything like that. Control like does everything bad to the genie. And he's just a bad guy forever.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's a good
And he
villain.
comes back. So, I mean, it can't be bad because he comes back. I mean,
Right.
he can't be that good of a guy because they're like, he's so bad.
Yeah.
We got to bring him back twice.
That reminds me of another villain that I didn't put on my list that I should have.
Maleficent.
I'm not going to mention it because
Okay.
you may have it on your list. I don't know.
No, because there's no more Disney on my list.
It's not a Disney one.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could be on your list.
I mean, spoilers. There may or may not be Disney on my list.
Don't worry, kids. I'm bringing more Disney. All right, so my number 3 is from a little movie called The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie Boogie.
Sure.
Come on.
I've
still
never
haven't seen that
no,
movie,
I'm
have
good.
you? It is so going on my list.
I don't like scary movies.
It's not scary.
and
It's delightful.
it looks like it's drawn scary.
There's some scariness to the look of it, I guess.
Plus, I don't like Tim
but
Burton
That's just a dumb statement.
because he's a scary man.
But you're not watching Tim Burton.
Yeah, but I can feel his aura in his movies.
I will break you of this, Josh Kane. I will break you of it.
Okay.
And the way I'm going to do it is by showing you Nightmare Before Christmas. One of the greatest animated musicals of all time. It is so good. And Oogie Boogie and his song is amazing.
Okay.
Great villain. Great singing voice.
Okay.
He's amazing. I think our listeners will agree.
I'll allow it.
All right.
I'll allow it. I mean, I'll try anything once.
He didn't murder anybody or anything like that, but,
Well, then what kind of a villain is he?
he's a bad dude.
Okay. Yeah, well, if you make me, I'll watch a Nightmare.
You're going to make me watch
Before
some really
Christmas.
dark stuff. So I'm
In
going to
what
make
way?
you watch
Nothing
a
that I've
musical.
said so far is dark.
Death Note?
Yeah, it does have
The
death in the
name
title.
of it is Death Note.
This is true. All right, my number 2. This was hard because either one of these two can be swapped. My number 1 and my number 2.
Okay.
Icon wise, he's number 1 for me, but on my list of bad guys,
Mm-hmm.
my evil villains, he's number 2, and that's the Joker from Batman.
Okay. The animated series?
Either the animated series or primarily under the Red Hood.
Okay.
Because in the animated series, you get Mark Hamill, and under the Red Hood, you get John DiMaggio.
Mm-hmm.
And I love John DiMaggio. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really have to explain why. He's Batman's,
Yeah.
other side, pretty much. So, the Joker from Batman.
He's pretty much Batman's ultimate nemesis,
Yes.
right? Like, he's the constant thorn in his
pretty
side.
much the yin to his yang.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean,
Because
the Joker...
other villains come and go for Batman,
Yeah.
right? But doesn't the Joker kind of
The Joker pretty
always...
much is just always there.
Yeah.
And especially Mark Hamill's rendition,
Mhm.
just brought the character to life. And
I've
I mean,
heard
he's
it's
been doing
pretty
that for
good.
19 years. He's been the Joker. It's ridiculous.
I don't know if I recall much of his performance in the animated series. I do remember seeing some of the episodes when it was on TV, but all I've heard is that it's amazing.
Yeah.
Really good. So the Joker.
The Joker. Yes.
I knew you'd bring some comic book world stuff
Yeah.
into this.
Thought I'd give it a shot.
I thought about bringing in Syndrome from Pixar's Incredibles, but
Yeah, bring a real villain in.
all right. So my number 2,
Spy.
it's another television show. One
Is
of
it
my
Skeletor?
all-time favorites. No, it's not Skeletor. It's from Samurai Jack.
Okay.
Aku!
I completely forgot about
He's
Aku.
amazing. He's one of the zaniest, most awesome villains ever. I love it.
Yes.
I love the design work of that show, and the design of his character is so fantastic. It's just captivating. His flaming eyebrows, and he can shapeshift, and he's some sort of a demon, I guess.
Yeah.
And demons are evil, so he's probably
I would say
one
of
my
your
more
list
evil
right now,
guys.
he's the most evil that you've done. Because
But
he actually kills people.
But he's also hilarious.
He's great.
He's really funny, and he's a great nemesis to Jack, and puts all manner of obstacles in his way, and I'm just delighted by him. So
I can find nothing wrong with that number 2. That's really good.
Yes, I finally get some respect from Josh Kane tonight.
Once.
Yes.
And you'll lose it all with your number 1 pick more than likely.
Possible.
All right, my number 1. Finally, we're gonna go back to anime.
Oh, I'm shocked.
And we're gonna go Frieza from Dragon Ball Z.
Again, I am lost.
I don't even know what to do. Hold on. Listeners, this is what I have to put up with. Every day that I talk to Gavin, I'll make a reference and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's sad. It hurts inside.
Yeah, you just have seen so much more of that world than I have.
Yeah.
I mean, what I know of Dragon Ball Z is big crazy anime hair, and it's called Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
That's the limit of my knowledge for that. Wait, is there a character called something like Goku?
Yes.
Okay, I know 3 things about it then.
They're all like vegetables.
What do you mean?
Goku.
That's a vegetable?
Well, his Saiyan name is Kakarot, which is basically carrot.
Okay.
And then there's Vegeta, who is vegetables. There's a character named Piccolo. So yeah, there's a lot of
interesting.
A lot of delicious food.
All right. So why do you like that villain?
Well, he's such a good villain just because like when we first meet him on Namek, he's just like the destroyer of worlds, pretty much. And basically wherever he goes, everyone's pretty much gonna die. He then he gets defeated. Mm-hmm. Spoilers, everyone, if you didn't watch Dragon Ball Z from 1995 or whatever. He gets defeated in the first one, in the first series. Then he comes back, having survived getting blown up, comes back as like a robot. Tell me if this sounds kind of familiar. Comes back with like some artificial like robot parts all over him.
So he's Darth Vader.
Yeah, or I was going more Apophis.
Apophis?
Yeah.
From Stargate.
From Stargate, yeah.
Nice.
So he dies again.
Mm-hmm.
Then they make a whole new movie about him, where he's basically stuck in heck, the bad place.
Hades?
He's stuck in Hades, and is then brought back to life in a final form. They had a whole movie just so he could fight the main characters again.
So is the show centered around this character? He sounds pretty central to the show.
No, we're centered around Goku.
Oh.
But of the three
major,
three main villains that we have, we have like Boo, who's when it's Fat Boo, it's just garbage.
There's a villain called Boo.
Yes, his name is Majin Buu.
Okay.
Then we have Cell, who Cell's actually really good, but he dies and then they never bring him back again.
Oh.
But we have Frieza, who's so good,
they just
bring
keep
him
bringing him back
twice.
Nice.
I mean, he has more deaths than Buffy. Buffy only dies twice. Frieza dies 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So, impressive.
My number 1, Frieza.
Excellent. I'm interested to see this Frieza
Frieza's
character.
Great.
The other 2 scare me a little bit.
I may show you just because they're hilarious. It's this group called Team 4-Star, and they do a bunch of, like fan dubbing.
Oh, okay.
And like whenever they bring him in, it's hilarious.
Nice.
Like the main character Goku, they make him stupider than what he is, and so he calls him Freezer the whole time. It's great.
Nice.
All right, Gavin.
All right.
What do you have for your number 1?
My number 1 is from a Disney movie.
Oh, shocker.
One that I know that we both enjoy. It's from Sleeping Beauty. The one and only Maleficent.
You said that different than I would have said that.
How would you have said it?
Maleficent.
Maleficent.
Like heffalumps and woozles. Like, I don't know, man.
Say it with me, Josh. Maleficent.
Maleficent.
Got it.
Angelina Jolie.
She did play Maleficent.
Okay.
She was really good.
I should have said Angelina Jolie.
But I think she is the ultimate Disney villain. I think she is perfectly designed. She's evil. She can turn into a really cool dragon.
The dragon's dope.
It's awesome. She commands an army of little minions that are, I don't know what they are. They're little like piggy
people.
crittery guys. I guess they're like little demons. I don't know what they are really. And she's got that cool crow. Like, so many villains have a cool bird. You know, Jafar's got Yago, and she's got that crow with her. And man, I just think she's
Light technically kind of has a bird.
magnificent.
It's Ryuk, who's this big demon. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Well, that's fine. So she's my top. I think she's the best Disney villain. Now, very close for me also was Jafar and Scar. I wanted to put both of those on there. The one that I really wanted to put on my list that I left off was
Skeletor.
Monstro from Pinocchio, because that thing is terrifying.
What's Monstro?
The whale.
Oh.
That thing is terrifying. That is some of the craziest animation I've ever seen, too, because that whale almost seems to be self-propelled, and like the way he like races across the top of the water is terrifying. Think of a whale doing that and chasing you down.
I could outrun a whale.
I don't
like
think
on
you
a
could.
boat.
In a very, very fast boat, you could, yes.
Probably.
But Monstro, he's fast, man. He's super fast. But the one I was thinking of that I didn't put on my list that I really got to think if I like him enough, Rasputin from Anastasia.
Rasputin's
How
great.
cool was he? He was a really good villain.
And I tried to get you to do Anastasia.
Well, I let you pick. It was your pick last time.
Well, I sent a text and you were like, we have this and Anastasia. You were like,
Hey.
I like them both, but I want to do the other one.
Well, we've already seen Anastasia, and aren't you glad we watched
Yes,
The
I
Little
am.
Prince?
Spoilers, bro.
What do you mean?
You can't say that that's what we watched.
What are we doing this one for?
Oh,
It is that one.
I'm so stupid.
You're thinking of the other one.
I'm thinking it's still Tangled. I just put that out and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Don't spoil it. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, they just got done listening to our Little Prince segment, so
You know.
you can edit that out.
No, I'll leave it in. I'll leave it in. They'll know I'm stupid. It's just they should know by now. This is 4 episodes and a bonus in. They know.
They know what to expect from Josh L. Kane.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this week, right?
That was a pretty good episode. We talked about the Little Prince.
We did. We
Apparently.
did for a while, and then you promptly forgot it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's how much I loved it. It's actually not how much I loved it. But anyway, yeah, it was a pretty good episode. I liked this top 5.
It was interesting. Like I said, I think we really diverged and went down different paths for this one. So
And maybe for the next one, we may flip the coin around.
And do heroes? Good guys?
Possibly.
All right. We'll think about it.
I don't know. Something else.
If anyone has any suggestions for a top 5, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. What would you like us to do? Do you want top 5 heroes? Do you want top 5 Disney or top 5 animal sidekicks?
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
That'd be a really good one.
I wanted to do like top 5 animated moments.
Moments?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I thought that one would be a little bit difficult because
Really
difficult. I've seen maybe top 5 Disney moments and then top 5 just animated moments.
Oh man, yeah, we need some time to think about.
Yeah, that would be
We'll
maybe
put that
2
on our
weeks.
radar and think about it, and we'll do a couple in between.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right.
Cool, man. You got any shout outs you want to give this week?
You put me on the spot. I didn't come prepared with shout outs.
That's cool. I'm going to give a shout out. I want to give a big shout out to our friends over at a podcast called The Podcateers. They gave us a big shout out on Instagram.
Yes, they did.
Last week. Of course, when this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks ago. But I just want to say thanks to those guys. They've been really welcoming to me, just as a friend and as somebody that they've had on their podcast. And just to know that we have their support means a lot, because those guys are all pro. They
are. They're super
know their
funny,
stuff.
too.
They're really funny. So you guys should go check them out. They talk about Disney, and they talk about anything related to Disney. They talk about the parks. They talk about what's new in technology. They talk about movies. They hit a lot of stuff, but they're 3 really entertaining guys, and you'll find them very enjoyable. They're on every Wednesday. You can find them at Podcateers, which is Podketeers. That's my shout out for the week.
M-O-U-S-E.
Kind of.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I think we're going to wrap it up with that. So, Gavin, where can the wonderful audience find you?
They can find me on Instagram and Twitter, mostly Instagram, at Gavin Otteson Art. And you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane.
Nice.
All right. So this is a pretty fun episode. We watched a really good movie. We did a pretty good top 5.
I think it's pretty good.
Maybe a little bit better.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I knew like 2 of your people.
Okay.
So,
you knew 2 of your people.
2 of mine, yeah. All right. Okay, so for the Animation Station, I'm Josh.
I'm Gavin.
Dang it. Still no sign. I have nothing. I have no sign-offs.
That's all, folks.
Fine. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Animation Station Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Animate Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes. And join the conversation at secretsuperheroclub.com, where you can connect with our podcast friends, Cloud City Cast, Getting Into Comics, and Shaun of the Gathering.